We need to know what we're going to be sharing. And the reason for that, and I tell people this all the time, once you know what it is you want to share, practice it, repeat it, just kind of like let it sink in. Who am I? Who do I serve? How do I help them?
Welcome to Your Intended Message, the perfect place for leaders and promising professionals who want to convey the intended message for greater success. Every week, we interview experts who address the challenges and best practices to deliver your message effectively. That might be one-to-one, one-to-few, or one-to-many. And perhaps the most important conversation, one-to-self. I'm your host, George Torok. My guest today is Laura Templeton. Here's 3 facts that I think you should know about Laura. Laura is a professionally trained speaker who enjoys educating audiences about client attraction and brand communication. 2, she is the author of the best-selling book, 30-Second Success, Ditch the Pitch, and Start Connecting. She's also contributing author of the bestseller, Your First Year, What I Wish I'd Known. And she has several other books on the go. And the third fact about Laura is that in her spare time, when she has some spare time, she enjoys target archery and is a certified USA archery instructor. So she knows a thing or two about connecting with your target. Laura Templeton, welcome to Your Intended Message.
Thank you so much for having me here, George. It's always a pleasure to connect with you.
Delighted to be talking with you today, and we're going to take a look at the concept that your employees can be your best brand ambassadors for your organization. And however, they need help. They need help to spread the message. And so how can we, first of all, when you're talking to a leader and you convey the message that, hey, do you have all your staff marketing for you? And they go, what does that mean? I got a marketing department. So how do you explain that concept that everyone in the organization is a marketer on different levels?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I found when I've networked in large organizations with different groups, especially when I'm in person and they have a lot of professionals in the room, is that a lot of the people, when you ask them, so tell me a little bit about you, what do? You get one-word answers, right? Years ago when I first ventured into corporate, I worked for a big organization, RCA. And one of the best things that they did was teach us how to talk about the company. They updated us weekly on all the different projects that were going on, who was looking for what types of employees, what positions were open, how to refer that person. And they had a referral program that was in place. A lot of times when I'm speaking to organizations, especially leaders in an organization, I'll ask them, do you have an employee referral program? How many of your employees are using it? What are you doing to educate them on how to use it? 9 times out of 10, the answers come back. It's either, I don't know if our employees are using it, or I wish our employees would use it.
And that sounds like, and the concept sounds so practical, so simple. People who work here are the best ones to recommend other people that they like and trust come and work here too, because that means that there's already a relationship there.
Absolutely. And the retention numbers prove it. It's easier to onboard new employees when someone else has referred them. They're a better fit for the role because your employees have already kind of vetted them for you. So they know what kind of person this is. It's a personality. It's somebody that they want to work with. They're not going to recommend somebody that they wouldn't want to work with. And the retention numbers are better. Employees stay longer when they've been referred by another employee. So it saves time, it saves money, and it makes for a better culture.
And what we're hearing is that culture is not this fuzzy thing, but it's something real that leaders need to be aware of and to nurture.
Absolutely. The culture is really about people being able to work together and move the company in the same direction. They have a common goal. When you're sharing your mission, your values with the employees that they can then turn around and share it with their friends when they're out and about and they're having conversations, when they're excited about working for your company because they know the good things that you are doing. It creates a cohesion among your employees, among your teams, where they're excited about sharing what you do, how you have an impact, and what you bring to other people that may be potential members of the team, right? That could be somebody that they would love to work with. So it gives them an opportunity to feel like they're contributing as well. And that creates it's the cohesiveness. I keep going back to that same word, but it really brings people together, right? It creates community within your organization and helps people to work more efficiently, be more proactive, and being part of the organization.
Mm. And I see benefits there. So if I'm working for a company and I recommend that they hire you, and we already have a relationship, so you already know someone in the company. It's less difficult for you. And I have a vested interest to help you succeed because I want to look good because I recommended you. So there's synergy there.
Absolutely. And the synergy really goes deep. There's a practicality in it because it brings people together on a very base level, on the emotional level. We all want to feel connected. And when there's a disconnect within an organization, a lot of times that causes strife, it causes frustration for your employees. And a lot of times people will leave. So when you have an opportunity to have someone that you have a confidant within the organization, somebody who's invested in helping you succeed, and it could just be somebody, whether it's a friend, the person that referred you, someone within the organization that you've been introduced to because you're a good fit, a good candidate, 9 times out of 10, you're going to at least make an effort to resolve issues that might come up for you. And you have someone to go to for advice that can say, here's who you should talk to.
Mm. And I can also see, going back to that vetting process, I can also see where that there's people I don't want to work with. I'm not going to recommend them. And I had this happen to me once. I was working, I had just recently changed jobs and I was working for a new company, and a person I knew from my previous employer came applying. And I knew I didn't work directly with this person, but you know how people chat within the place. And I knew that this wasn't a person that I wanted to be to recommend, and I didn't. And the person asked me, "Can I put your name down?" And I said no. Now it was tough for me to say that, but it was the reality, because there's no way I wanted to be a reference for this person, because the reference, if they came to me, I'd say, "Don't hire them."
Well, there's so much truth in that, because a lot of times people want us to recommend them and we don't necessarily believe so. Standing in your truth, knowing who you are, and remember that it is a reflection on you. Their success or failure within the organization is a reflection on you. And if they are bringing maybe it's a poisonous personality, somebody who's a negative Nelly, maybe they're just somebody who talks a good game, but they're all fluff, right? They're not the doer, they're the talker. So you have to weigh and measure who you are referring. And that's why it's so important. And I think it's so valuable that organizations invite their employees to refer people for positions, because again, we put them through the vetting process because it is a reflection on us. And kudos to you for saying no to someone. That's not easy, right? And the best thing to say is, no, I don't believe that you're a good fit for either this position or our company. It wouldn't be good for you or for us. Again, you're invested in the company. You're invested in the company's success. And why would you not take that step and say, this is not a good fit? And that's when it comes down to, it is an honesty factor, right? But again, you're protecting your role within the company, because it is a reflection on what you do and who you're bringing.
And so certainly the people who work for a company are the best people to recommend others, or not recommend others. How else can people talk about their company? What other ways do you suggest that they do that?
And the other opportunity that we have is talking about how we treat our clients, because client referrals are just as important. And who better to talk about your services than your employees who may already be using your services, or at least know the experience that your clients are having with your services. They know what you deliver. They're going to be able to talk about what you're doing within the organization, who you're serving, any new projects that you have coming up. And that speaks volumes when people are listening, like, oh, wait. I worked with a company in Pennsylvania, AmeriGas, and they are like one of the largest propane gas suppliers in the state. And actually, they're really expanding. And one of the conversations that we had around that was, they said, well, how do I share with people? I'm like, talk about your company, the responses that you're getting from your employee or your customers. How are your customers enjoying your service? Why are they switching to AmeriGas? Is it because of cost? Is it because of services? Is it because your customer relationship platform? They were big on customer relationship. And that's very attractive to potential clients, right? Sometimes potential clients will pay more for better service. And we need to know what those testimonials bring to our potential clients. So if you're not a customer yourself, you can at least share what your customer testimonials are. So an employer sharing, hey, here's a testimonial we just got about this service or this service, share it with your friends, making sure that even on social media, your employees could be, just sharing what you're putting out there. And it helps reach their connections. If your employees are invited to share what you're putting out on social media, if you're not using social media, you're missing an opportunity, because all of your employees want to share what your company is doing. They're excited to be part of that. Give them the opportunity to share it, and it'll just go global, right? And that's the beauty of creating messages that your employees can share. When your employees are out networking, whether it's at a family function, a happy hour, an after hours, they want to talk about what good your company is doing. But you need to help them see that. You need to help them access that information. They're in the daily grind of making things happen in the background. One of the things that happened one time, I was at a networking event, and this lovely young woman was sitting next to me. And I said, so what do you do? And she said, I'm an accountant. And my first thought was, no. So I kind of started asking all of these questions. She said, I'm an accountant, and this is who I work for. Oh, and I'm not just an accountant. Because I said, well, what do you like about accounting? What got you into that? She goes, well, I'm a forensic accountant. I'm like, well, there's a conversation, right? Change the whole dynamic of the conversation. So teaching our employees, let's share, accountant, this is who I work for. I love it because I get to do this. I'm a forensic accountant. I get to do this really cool stuff where I'm digging deep into some of our billing to decide, if we're being overbilled, where I can save us money. I've saved us X amount of dollars. You can take that conversation either out in the public or internally. I've had so many people say to me, what do I do when I step on an elevator with one of our CEO, with our CEO, and he says, oh, what are you working on these days? How do I answer that question? And you can do the same thing, know what you're working on, what your project is, how it's coming along. What is your role in that process, right? Especially don't talk about your team and all your team's success. Highlight what you're bringing to the team and how it contributes to the team. Too many times I've seen amazing professionals talk about everybody else on the team but themselves, right? Because we want to come off as a team player, but we still need to highlight what our role is in that team.
So it's okay to praise your team. However, we want to know, what are you doing? What good are you contributing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your contribution is so important. And you can share that whether you were, talking to someone in the office or outside the office. What is it that you bring to the company? What's your contribution? And that's so important because people want to know what it is that you do and how they can support you in growing in that role.
And of course, when you are asked the direct question, what do you do? Well, you've got the opportunity. They want to know what you do. They didn't say, what does your team do? What does your company do? What do you do? Oh, me. Oh, I don't do anything.
Just tell everybody else what to do. That's okay, right? Well, you're the leader then, right? You're the leader in that role. And what is your team? How do you keep your team moving forward? That's important.
And how do you advise people to get over when asked a question, what do you do? First of all, they say something like, oh, I'm an accountant. Like, that doesn't say what you do. So how do you get them past that stuck mindset that, oh, I lead a boring life. There's nothing interesting. I just do my job. How do you get them past that to make it sound more interesting to the person who said, what do you do?
Well, first of all, you need to remember that when we're in that networking environment, when someone does, whether it's at the grocery store, at a family function, happy hour, or you're at a big conference, you have to remember the networking piece is really about people wanting to get to know you and giving them a little bit of a snippet about what you do, getting them to go, oh, what do you mean? How do you do that? Right? Grabbing their attention. That's the key to answering the question. So what do you do? Or when you have an opportunity to go around the room and do your 30-second message, it's about grabbing people's attention. It's not about telling them everything that you do, because we have two types of people. You got the one person who's going to give you the one word answer, or you have the other person who's literally going to throw up words on you, right? You got the person that just kind of goes down the rabbit hole and just keeps talking. But the thing of it is just shared enough to get them to lean in and want to know more. Like, if, let's go back to my accountant friend, right? If she had said to me, well, I as a forensic accountant for UGI Amerigas, I absolutely love digging into the billing to determine whether or not we can save money. How do you do that? What do you mean? It sparks more conversation. People want to get to know you. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. And when we have an opportunity to share a little bit about what we do, how do you know that the guy you're standing in front of is not the CEO of some major company and is looking for a new CPA to help them uncover some of the issues they're having and is willing to double your salary? Wouldn't that be nice? But if you're not sharing what you do and how you interact with your company, or as a business leader or a business owner, it's very difficult for people to understand what it is that you do, so that either A, they can help you to move forward in that role, or B, they may have a client for you, or C, they might want to steal you for themselves. You just don't know.
Okay, so Laura, if I work for a company and I'm going to an association events, let's say a conference, and I know I'm going to have a lot of conversations with people, and one of the reasons I'm going is because I want to talk to people. How do I prepare myself? Are there some rehearsal I should do ahead? Are there some questions I should think about to get ready so that when someone comes up, I'm ready? What might those questions or prompts be?
George, I love that you're asking this question, because that's one of the things that I really dive into in my book, 30-Second Success, Ditch the Pitch and Start Connecting. And one of my new books that I'm working on right now is 30-Second Success for the Professional. Because we talk about, for business owners, it might be a little bit different than it would be for the professional. And sometimes we need to have multiple messages depending on where we're networking and who we're networking with. But you asked a very good question. The preparation is vitally important. We need to know what we're going to be sharing. And the reason for that, and I tell people this all the time, once you know what it is you want to share, practice it, repeat it, just kind of like let it sink in. Who am I? Who do I serve? How do I help them? What is it that I do? There's a 4-part formula that I teach in my book. I teach it in all my courses. I teach it from stage. It's a very simple formula that I learned years ago from one of the top sales and marketing gurus. I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure you're familiar with Brian Tracy. He's written a dozen books. And, he taught this formula at an event that I was at, and I just kind of took it in, massaged it, and made it my own. And now that's what I teach other people, because I saw too many people struggling with communicating their 30-second message. And what it boils down to is, what is the pain or problem that you solve for the people that you work with, right? What is it that, it's really understanding that pain or problem that people have. How are you solving it for them? It's more about the resolution. What do you deliver for them than it is about the process, right? We don't need to tell people I have a 6-week coaching program and I take people through this process and this is what happens. It's what happens. What's the results that they get? So talk about the resolution. And then making sure that you have a call to action. What do you want people to do once they've been in your presence? They know that they want to have a deeper conversation. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to schedule time with you? Do you want them, to connect with you, follow up, visit your website? What is it that you want them to do? So there's the call to action piece. And then the last piece is what's your name and your company? Now that 4-part formula is what I teach when people have to go around the room, whether it's on Zoom or in person, and do a 30-second message. Right. But answering the question, so what do you do? 9 times out of 10, it's very personal. You're from someone, they're asking you, you've already been introduced, or you've already said, hi, I'm Laura Templeton, right? Well, hi, I'm George Stark. When they say to you, so George, what do you do? What do you say? So George, what do you do?
Thank you. I help business leaders deliver their intended message for greater success.
My goodness, George, how do you do that?
Well, I do that through individual coaching, one-on-one with the leaders themselves. And as we've all pivoted through this pandemic, it all happens online these days.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing that I would have said, in your shoes, and I know I just put you on the spot there because I do this for a living here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and
but
you did that well.
People put me on the spot. People put me on the spot all the time, so it's my turn to turn the tables. The thing of it is like, I help business owners discover what it is that they bring to the market on a deeper emotional level. And I do that through coaching and with my podcast, getting your intended message out to the world. But when you say something like that, you get people to lean in like, oh, you have a podcast? That's a door opener. You having a podcast is like a door opener to your coaching program. Use it.
And it's a good point. It's a good reminder for me and everyone else. There are some parts of our activity and things we do that go, oh yeah, so I have a podcast, so what? Yeah. And you're right. And at one time, before the podcast, I also hosted a radio show, and I was always surprised when I brought that up how it seemed to impress people. And I thought, yeah, well, no big deal.
Yeah.
And so we need to look at ourselves, and there are parts of our life that is interesting to other people, not maybe everybody, but to other people. And for example, with you, I find the whole archery thing fascinating because it was something that at one time I wanted to do. And Robin Hood is one of my favorite heroes.
Who knew? I did not know that, George. I love archery, and it's one of my favorite. It's my zen. It's where I go to just have the brain shut off and relax more. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I love teaching. So being able to I've worked with kids that were 5 years old. I've worked with families. It's amazing. It's one of the few sports people can do as a family. I've literally stood on a line with my 2 children and my husband and shot archery in competitive target archery. And it's been amazing. It's been an awesome experience for the last, 2 decades.
And I'm curious, do you find analogies in archery that you can use in your coaching and training work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we talk about hitting your target, right? Who's your target audience? When you know who your target audience is and your message is on point, you're hitting the center all the time. But even if your message is a little bit off, you're close, right? When, people keep telling me I need to bring my archery target and shoot when I'm on stage and talk about your target audience, because I talk about your target audience all the time. I'm like, I don't know if the event planners would have a liability issue with that. I'm going to have to try it out. I'm going to have to talk to somebody, see if they'll let me do that. But the whole idea behind it is really, again, it's tweaking, right? The tweaking. There's little things each time you shoot. It's just you get back into the same process. You don't overanalyze. You go back to the same basics, right? You stick with the basics. You don't overthink it. Every shot's a new shot. The whole idea behind it is just improve. I'm only ever in competition with myself, no one else. Right. So if I can improve my scores every time I shoot, that means I'm getting better. I'm getting more refined. I'm refining and refining. And like you mentioned before, George, you had said about the fact that, what's the process? Yes, tweaking and practicing. If we're not putting ourselves out there, if we're not networking regularly, if we're not sharing our message on a consistent basis, it will not get better. It will not reach our audience. It will not reach the intended person that it was meant for. And I talk all the time about speaking to the ideal client that you were meant to work with.
And Laura, what I just noticed is when you talked about archery, you lit up, which we all do when we talk about our passions. And somehow it would be helpful if we can connect to the passion in our work, because we spend so much time at work, we can't possibly hate every second of it, because that would be a wasted life. So clearly there are parts of our work that we enjoy, and we need to let that passion show for the parts that we do enjoy. We're not going to enjoy every second of the day, but there are those triumphs, those wins, those goals, those achievements, and even just the teamwork that we've got to allow our passion to show. We can't just be bland about work. And then people will be telling those stories that we want them to tell.
And that's where, again, it comes back to creating a culture that people are excited to be part of. And I truly believe that when we teach our whole entire team, our whole entire workforce to talk about the company, to talk about the good things that we're doing, and we help them do that by educating them. I mentioned that I used to work for RCA, and one of the things that RCA was really good at is every week we got, and this was before, I'm dating myself because this was before computers. So we got a newsletter on our desk, typewritten newsletter. Here are all the projects we're working on. Here are some of the roles that we're looking to fill. If you know someone that's a good fit, here's who to get their resume and send it to X so and so. It was every week we got a list. We knew what was going on. I was in construction project management at the time, and I knew all the different projects that were going on from a construction side of things. I knew how close we were. I knew who the key players were. And then to be able to see whose seats we were filling as we were getting closer to filling those spaces, I was like, oh, yes, we got to, we're on track to make sure that everybody has their desk by such and such a date. And that was beautiful for me to see that and be able to go, oh, my gosh, I know someone that would be a good fit for this role as we were moving players around. And it was a great opportunity. And like I said, that was something that they did. It was like clockwork. We got it every week. And I know I have a friend of mine who works for a bank. They do the same thing, educate their employees. But one of the things that they said, they were sending it out through email. I know this is going to sound crazy. They were sending it out through email and nobody was opening it, right? All their employees were like so inundated with email, they weren't opening it. They started printing it out and putting it on everybody's desk on Monday morning. And they started getting more referrals. So I thought that was really interesting. So we had I coached them through. They were like, well, nobody's using the referral program. Let's find out why not. We started talking to everybody like, I don't have time to read that. Well, I got too much email. I never see it. Like, okay, let's print it out. See what happens.
And in that case, the medium is the message.
Yes. So you need to find out what your employees are looking for. How do we need to communicate with them? How can we encourage them to use their referral programs? Referral programs are beautiful, but if nobody's using them, it doesn't benefit anyone.
Laura, for people who would like to learn more about, you have a program called Workforce Marketing. Tell us who's that for and where can people find out more about that?
The easiest way to find out information is at 30secondsuccess.com. That's my website. I have a program called Workforce Marketing, which helps organizations understand how to educate their employees on how to talk about the company. I come in, we do some workshops for the organization and just educating people on how to use their 30-second message and to network. right? Because there's a lot of organizations that have employees that aren't out there talking regularly. Like they look for opportunities to talk about the company and they feel like, oh, I don't have an opportunity to talk about the company. So let's figure that out together. And it's amazing when you start doing workshops like that and the employees start to, the light bulb goes off like, oh my gosh, I was just at so-and-so's house and somebody was mentioning that they needed this and would have been a great opportunity. Okay, that's what you need to be listening for. So teaching your employees what to listen for in order to share about your company, how to share about your company is the biggest piece when it comes to those workshops that I do for organizations.
That website is 30secondsuccess.com, and you can find that link in the description below. Laura, as we prepare to wrap up, if you could sit down with a company leader who's intrigued by the concept of actually getting people, the employees, to talk more about the company, if there are 1, 2, or 3 tips that you would give them to get a program going and get it energized, what could be those 1, 2, or 3 pieces of advice?
Well, the first piece is if you have a referral program, review it to see how many people are actually using it. If they are, great. If they're not, ask your employees if they know about it. And if they do, why they're not using it. Your employees are going to tell you why. Okay. The other pieces is educating your organization, educating everybody. Just give them tips. Here's something that we're looking for. Let them know. Here's our ideal client. We need more clients like this. And then the third piece, share testimonials. Share the testimonials that your clients are giving your organization. Hey guys, you're doing a great job. We just heard from, this client, and this is what they had to say about our organization. You did this. Give your employees the credit when those testimonials come in, because everybody has a part in making those testimonials happen. Right. So when you start to share your testimonials, you understand how your referral program is working, and then educating everybody in your organization on how to use the referral program, it's going to change things for your company and your culture as a whole.
And Laura, I'm hearing there that don't hide those testimonials in the sales department or the marketing department.
No. Everybody needs to hear that their work is having an impact. And that's a very simple, inexpensive way to share with your organization. And encourage, if you're not using social media to share those testimonials, give that a try, right? Start sharing them and tell your employees to get on the social media bandwagon with you and share what you're putting out there.
My guest today is Laura Templeton, reminding you that your employees, get them on side, because that'll help you hit your target.
If you like what you heard, tell your friends and post your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because that helps more listeners find us. Come back every week for more practical insights to help you deliver your intended message. I'm your host, George Torok.